Okay, guys, I'm going to talk about the cancellation of outcome memories now because it's bad. Now, before we talk about the game being canceled, I'm going to talk about the events that led up to it and explain this video Sobi sent in the game announcement. So, yesterday at 10:51, Sobi posted this video saying, "Please take a read. Transparency is what we're here to give now." And the video consists of a group chat between Alepie, who to my knowledge is the new community manager, well, was, Romeo, our GOAT, and PR, and Sobi, I guess. Sobi's there too. This GC was used to just bash and beat him into shape so he'd conform for them, because just constantly throughout the entire 25-second video of Sobi scrolling through their chat, most of it is Alepie beating Romeo with a stick until he apologizes for whatever Alepie sees fit. What's important is how they treated Romeo during this, because it comes off extremely scummy and extremely manipulative, especially Sobi. Well, let's just dissect this. So it starts with Sobi complaining that he was posting all over his Twitter, informing the people about just everything, which Sobi considers himself to be aggressive, and he's weaponizing his newfound audience because, well, let's be fair here, he was the GOAT. And Sobi even goes as far to compare Altaz and Romeo, because this video made public some information about Romeo making a video similar to Altaz, but later, after being pressured about it, he explains that's not meant to be a weapon and how it was just giving context and speaking about how badly it was being handled. So it's not quite the same, and Sobi is purposefully misinterpreting what he said, because it was shown to people before. It was done in a way that made the video look bad, whoever showed it to the group. It was probably Sobi trying to manipulate everybody. Romeo explains how the video was a last resort because nobody would talk to him. Nobody would give him anything. He had nothing to work with. And Alepie says this. He says, "We will continue with these specific points in a bit. However, we first must talk about something vital. The video, you say it was a last resort, and we are currently talking in an attempt to compromise, no? If so, please request Moonlit to halt the publishing of the video until further notice." Now, I think it's a bit weird that Alepie is concerned with this video coming out. I don't know why Alepie was so concerned with that. Alepie this entire time is a bit concerned with Romeo and has some issue with him to the max. He calls Romeo immature on several occasions. He says that Romeo's embarrassing himself, and he makes paragraphs mostly just trying to aura farm. And what he says, the definition of a threat, like, just tell us that you're like 12 years old and you're just a little keyboard warrior. Another crazy part from Alepie, he sends a screenshot that he was sent where Romeo asks that any breaking of his respect and boundaries will result in deeper trouble, and we don't need to be dealing with that right now. And Alepie was trying to, do what he claims Romeo's doing all the time and weaponize this image when it wasn't even about any of this. It was about Devilish and Starved. Alepie, for some reason, after getting told that this has nothing to do with the current situation, he says, "Does this change the fact that you still clearly implied something unfavorable to occur against these individuals should your request not be met? This is nothing to concern you now. You know this now. Does this change it was a threat?" One, I don't think it was a threat. I think it was a request. Hey, you break my respect and my boundaries, there's going to be trouble. That's just kind of like, that's a line in the sand. You know what I mean? And Alepie, here wants to use this against Romeo for some reason when this has nothing to do with him anymore, and he knows this. Like, this random, by the way, just heard, this is my first time hearing about him, this supposed community manager, as he likes to call himself, when me, as somebody who's pretty involved in the community, I'd say, has no idea who you are, then I don't think you're doing a good enough job, because Romeo was the community manager. Everybody loved Romeo. That's why he manages the community, because everybody loves him. Who are you? Genuinely, just more randoms coming in and inserting themselves, and that's a huge issue here. Just show again the countless times where AlePie was trying to make Romeo conform and apologize, and every single time Romeo apologized and promised to learn from his quote unquote mistakes. And that's good that he can reflect on things, where clearly these people can't take 2 seconds and look into themselves and realize the real root of the problem here. And the real root is their complete and utter lack of communication, because I'm sure, say they fired Romeo, right? For say they had a good reason to fire Romeo. Nobody would be mad. Genuinely, obviously some people would be upset because we loved Romeo. But if they had a good reason to fire him, then none of this would be an issue. But they didn't. Somebody, apparently, according to Romeo, somebody had manipulated Lua into firing Romeo, apparently. So Lua was a little puppet here and just doing whatever this person says throughout this entire group chat. Instead of coming to terms with each other, settling their differences, they decide to attack and bash Romeo over and over until he keeps apologizing, and at the end of it, they don't even respect his wishes. He asks them specifically, he wanted it released the next day because it's late for him and he cannot afford an awful sleep schedule at a time like this, he says. They, not even 3 minutes later, are like, respectfully, we will not wait for tomorrow. That's not very respectful, but you can't just put respectfully at the beginning of your sentence and make it all okay. Frankly, we do not trust you not to pull anything. I think AlePie might be the imposter here, the one that manipulated Lua guy, because AlePie, no matter how much Sobi wants to claim later that they weren't trying to paint Romeo in a bad light, they absolutely were. We don't trust you not to pull anything. That just screams like they're still not on good terms, even after they talked for so long, because AlePie is he likes to poke and prod, and that's exactly what he did. And Sobi also backs him up and says, we can't keep the whole crowd waiting, Romeo. We have to release this now. We don't care what you say, because we have to feed this mob, this angry mob. This whole 25 seconds of just complete slander against Romeo is utterly disgusting, quite frankly, especially for some people who have all the power around here, or used to have all the power. It's an embarrassing show of forcing. They just straight forced him to submit to whatever they had to say, and they proudly showed this off like it explained anything. This opened up more questions, because they never said who did it. They never explained who did it or their motives behind it, or literally anything that mattered. This feels like another distraction in the sense, an attempt at one, because it flopped so hard. The next day at 2:44 p.m., Sobi announced that Outcome Memories is officially canceled. Sobi has the idea that they're addressing things, like here where they say my doings. I understand with what was posted by me might be manipulative, but that was me and Al. Wow, what a terrible sentence. That is just a mess of a sentence. I understand with what was posted by me might have been manipulative, but That was me and Alpi being blunt. This whole sentence here is an issue. They weren't being blunt at all. They were being vague with everything. You're just like, Altaz, you're threatening other people, weren't you? Just trying to get him to be a bad person. When you have such a community as yours, don't you think they're going to be upset when we ban you? Yeah. No duh. They were being blunt about nothing because they answered no questions. Instead, they just decided to tie Romeo to a chair and shine a light in his face while they attacked him, not giving him a chance to speak because every time he tried to, they would shoot him down. And here they even he tries to form a sentence here, but the typo makes me feel like he wasn't being genuine, saying none of it was intended to be malicious. Well, maybe nothing from Sobi for the two things that he actually said, but Alepie, definitely a bit of the M word here, in that no one is or was trying to be biased, but with what was being said by Romeo towards people behind the scenes was not making it easier on us. Sorry, my man's frustrated because apparently he was out of the loop, just like I guess everyone else was too. Now, Sobi can't take one step out of his tiny little boots and step into somebody else's and even think for a moment that, hey, I'm banned from my passion project without any real reason and I don't know who did it. Oh, maybe I'm going to be a bit mad when it takes them 8 days to come at me and beat me with a stick. I'd be mad too. I'd probably say way worse things than Romeo. I'm going to be honest here. And he even says the actual dumbest thing, and this is why Sobi alone is the reason. I understand too with what was posted lacked the reasonings to why Romeo was pushed off. The only thing we care about. We genuinely do not care about how Romeo is just a terrible guy to all of you after he was kicked out and thrown to the wolves after everything he did for the community that these guys lacked. We don't care about you trying to paint him as a villain. This is all we really cared about. Let's be honest here. As much as I do want to speak up about this, I'm only going to be shut off by the community because of what some people believe. This is the single most moronic thing I've ever heard. Oh, I really do want to talk about it, but oh, you guys don't want to hear it, so I'm not going to say it. What are you talking? This is the only thing we want to know. As I just said, everybody wants to know why he was banned. What do you mean? Oh, I do, but I'm not going to because you guys hate me. Shut up. And then right here, both parties completely up, and that's final. Again, just can't take any accountability for anything. He has the idea of accountability here, but he has to sprinkle in that Romeo was wrong. Both parties messed up in Sobi's eyes. Yeah, I did things wrong, but so did Romeo, so I don't have to be accountable for any of my actions. Genuine, just idiocracy. We're gonna get into what PR had to say. PR basically explains here some issues that they had with Romeo personally that were resolved, and explains that Romeo was going to be demoted for inactivity because he had been inactive in the server along with the game server, and a lot of the higher-ups actually agreed. They were forming a Google Doc with their main idea to fire Romeo. PR decided to wait and see how the doc was looking, and then when PR got it, apparently it sucked. It was bad, and they still wanted to post it the same night. The higher-ups just decided that we want to pull it from the document since we want to do what we want to do, since we want to handle this professionally in the biggest quotation marks. Because what? This whole thing is so unprofessional, and if they continue to think that was professional, they're genuinely idiots. They're babbling idiots. Because what do you mean? This whole situation is so unprofessional to the max. And I guess these teenagers' definition of professional might be different from somebody who's old and wise, such as myself. But professional isn't firing somebody and they find out by a Discord server a public Discord server announcement, and then getting in a group chat with them and just telling them and trying to make them seem like a bad person for like hours on end. I don't think that's what professionalism truly is, but I guess I don't know. This update wasn't very long, but it's over. It's over. I want to thank everybody who supported my first video, because I've never gotten that amount of love before, and it truly means a lot. All the people who commented, I have seen everybody's comments as of right now, and hello to the 400 new subscribers I got. If you enjoyed this one too, make sure to like and subscribe. Now that this is over, I'm not sure what we're going to be talking about, but hey, next video soon. Bye.